inches thick, which is what this is, okay? And I probably have several hundred of these that are now dry. If somebody needs ash, let me know. My son is complaining bitterly that he'll have to deal with it. So I took him in the shop when he was here and I showed him how to run this through the resaw and to make 1-inch boards, 2 1/4 inches or 2 1/2 inches wide. And then I showed him the shaper knives for making flooring. So I figure there's at least 30,000 board feet of ash flooring to be had out there. And so when you get in some ash, that's what my platter's over there, I'll talk to in a minute, but this basically is, I bandsawed a platter out, as you can see, the round came out of there. And then just so I didn't poke anybody, I cut the corners off to bring them. But these are to be raffled off, and there's some pretty good little bowl stock in the corners, okay? And you can layer it out, but that's what those are from. And this is kind of part of my tips and tricks that I'll talk about later. But this is a piece of ash that I just didn't have time to get to it, and I knew it would crack. I wouldn't be able to get a bowl. So I've mentioned this technique to you guys before, that you just take a chainsaw and march it down to the pith. And as you can see, that saw slot is starting it's looking more like a pie slice than it is a slot. So that this is free to continue to shrink as it dries. And you're almost guaranteed to get 2 bowl halves. If you just do that to a piece of firewood and seal the ends, you'll be able to hold it for quite a while without the 2 bowl blanks cracking on you.
What do you seal the ends with?
Whatever you have. I mean, they sell stuff called anchor seal, which is a latex. You put it on with a brush. You can seal it up with paint.
Any latex paint.
Any kind of paint, any kind of glue, axle grease, it doesn't matter. But you're just slowing down the water leaving the end grain fibers, because the ends will always dry faster than the middle.
They have some stuff called green wood sealer that you
Yeah.
can paint on the end too. Basically, it's like a wax type of stuff.
Is that ash, Steve?
This is ash. And I also have melted paraffin and put on liquid paraffin with a brush. And that works pretty good too. Unless the wood's wet, it won't stick very well. You know, fresh felled. But anyway, that's part of the tips and tricks. So what I'm doing with the ash is I'm making these platters. And these are made for somebody to put like dill dip in a bunch of vegetables, or some kind of dip in crackers, and you know, a serving thing. And these are $8 at Ace Hardware. They're Pyrex, pretty good quality. So I'm just making a cavity that they drop into. And I haven't yet signed the bottom, so I'm going to engrave, you know, what kind of wood it is. But these, I have 25 of these in progress. And it doesn't take very long, surprisingly.
Are you selling them?
Huh?
Are you going to sell them?
Yeah, I'll market
How much
these.
would you sell them for about?
Thinking around maybe 100, thereabouts. Because they're kind of nice, they're big, they're attractive.
What's the finish?
So far it's just 2 coats of Watco oil, you know, Danish oil. But I'll probably put 5 or 6 coats till it starts coming up nice. Sand between coats a little with wire, like 4/0 steel wool is what I put it on with. Makes a slurry and helps fill all the little holes, you know, with open pores. But these I'm doing, trying to think of the order of things. I think I start out this way and turn the bowl in this side first, and then I turn it around and push it against rubber to return the bottom. And I did start out with a faceplate, and the screws barely went in very far at all. So the next bunch that I got ready to go, I put a cherry disc on there with glue, so that I'll run my faceplate screws into the cherry, and then turn this side first, turn it around against rubber, and then just turn away the cherry.
It would be really nice to make it like a lazy Susan.
Yeah, put a bearing on here so it spins, you know. So,
Steve, you said you put the finish on with the steel wool?
yes. I always put Watco on with steel wool. 4/0 steel wool, the
Yeah.
finest. And as you rub all the little bristles, you know, when you sand it, you end up with little bristles microscopically sticking up. And once the oil dries, the bristles get hardened, and then when you rub it with a steel wool, you snap them off. And it
So-
makes like a real fine slurry with the oil that fills the open pores of the ash.
Don't you find that you get little black marks from the steel wool?
You can, but most of the time I just rub it on, I wait about 15 minutes, and then I wipe it off with paper towels, and usually the little fragments come off with the paper towel.
Because Jim's been trying to get me to use steel wool for years, and
Yeah.
I've done it a few times, and every time I
You
get
get the
black
little
into the
fragments.
grain,
Yeah,
and I can't stand it, and so I'm cursing him, going, I'm not touching that damn steel wool.
well, you can
So-
get bronze wool, that's kind of nice for, if you happen to do boats, like Sam's aware of, you know, when you have nice cruisers and they have all the bright work on the boats, they use bronze steel wool because any little fibers that are left behind would rust. The other thing you can use is Scotch-Brite pads. Artificial steel wool that you use in
Yeah.
the kitchen sink to scour your kettles.
Yeah, I use those.
And
in
they
that.
make, I think the gray one is the finest, and then the purple one is a little more coarse, and the green one is quite coarse. in my
Red,
opinion.
purple, green, blue.
Yeah, and blue. So you can use those too to apply it, and then there's no fibers breaking off.
Steve,
per se.
when you use steel wool, you get the steel wool that is not oiled?
No, I just get regular.
Regular steel wool?
Yeah,
Okay.
from the hardware store.
And then you soak it with the,
I put the steel wool in a Cool Whip carton with the oil in there, just saturate it. And it doesn't take very long. And some woods have a lot of open pores where the fragments would stick in there. But like walnut and cherry don't, the pores are really small. And the lighter woods like ash and oak, you might have more problem with the fragments of steel wool.
So if you did it with the Scotch-Brite, you think it would still create a slurry to fill in some of those?
Absolutely.
Okay,
And it would fill up and not have the fragments.
all right,
So you can do it that way too, okay?
yeah.
So I'm gonna be turning 20 of these in the next few days. Finally have a little time to work. But I just think these are nice for $8 and you can cap off the dip in the fridge. And it's not hard to make. I haven't used it on one. I didn't try for anything. And if the wood had been a little thicker, I could have run them up a little higher. But I think it's kind of nice that you can get a hold of them,
Yeah.
not have them. Anyway, that's my show and tell. And
They're
whoever's
cool,
next
Steve.
year, let it rip.
Very cool.